Well, we meet again, and after all this time, yet again, and I'm not gonna, as before, just not gonna waste any time talking about any of that, the layoff. It's, I'm just gonna keep it moving at this point. There's really no point dwelling on any of that stuff. I don't feel like it does anything for me, and I can't really see it doing anything for the content that I'm trying to provide. Maybe details about that could come if I decide to do a video regarding that, but I don't see that being the case. But we'll see. I mean, let me know in the comments down below if you want to hear about that. We'll look into getting that going. If not, we'll just keep it moving. I'm not going to expect much one way or the other, so I'll leave it up to you guys. That's just all I'm going to say about that. But we're going to get right into the swing of things. Had a couple of Game 7s tonight. And well, one way or the other, definitely some things that I didn't see happening the way that they did, at least as far as how they unfolded. But you know, it is what it is. What are you gonna do? It's sports. You know, these kind of things happen, and I think it just goes to show, and it actually hit me not too long ago because I was thinking about this. I mean, other than the Warriors, we don't get a whole lot in terms of repeat champions. I mean, not since them and not since the Heat a little before that. And the last time before that was actually Kobe's Lakers. And actually, on two different occasions. The first one was actually a three-peat, the most recent one since MJ and the Bulls. I mean, I think that just goes to show how far this league has come in terms of not even so much competition, but just parity. I mean, it's starting to feel more like football now, and I think that in and of itself is phenomenal for the game as we know it, because if nothing else, I would have a tough time believing that, especially with this being the global game and everything, that, you know, this is anything but good. So, all that aside, you know, it's what it needs to be, and I'm okay with that. But by the same token, it kind of has me thrown for a loop, especially the later games, specifically Dallas and Phoenix. But I'm gonna save that for a little bit later. And moreover, it's also wild to me because it also just occurred to me, and I thought about it earlier. Um, this is the first time that I can think of, and I would have to look it up. I'm not really going to look anything up because I know I'll talk a little bit about numbers. I don't really want to go into numbers right now, but it's kind of wild to me because I can't think of too many other points, if at all, in history. Maybe somebody will be able to look that up and comment on it or tweet at me something. But the two NBA finalists from a year ago bounced on the same day. I mean, wow, who'd have thought, right? I mean, that'd have been like back in the day seeing, we'll say, the 93-94 season, the first season where the Bulls went without MJ. It'd have been like seeing Chicago and Phoenix eliminated on the exact same day and in game sevens. I mean, the historical perspective on that is just pretty wild. I mean, I'm going to try to see if I can find that, but there's some other historical aspects of this that I want to talk about in this video. But yeah, it just was real wild to me because this was really back and forth as far as a series is concerned, with Milwaukee and Boston. And, you know, it just was really interesting to me because I didn't think you would see as many pendulum swings as what you wound up seeing here. And at that point, it was just real interesting who you figured that to be more in favor of. And honestly, in the beginning, I really wasn't sure because on one hand, the expectation is that you're talking about the defending champs in the Bucks, to whereas you have Boston, where there have been a lot of questions with them as far as how they are constructed. Will Brown and Tatum ever work out as a tandem? And do they have enough of the requisite pieces that you need to work around the two of them? And to this point, they're proving that the answer to that is a resounding yes. Especially Jason Tatum, who, for me, I mean, if anyone is matching Giannis blow for blow, he's definitely in that category. I mean, I don't know that under other circumstances that's necessarily the outcome. I will say, however, that it's really going to make things interesting moving forward. But yeah, for the Bucks, it just goes to show they really miss Chris Middleton because Tatum definitely went off, but he definitely got no shortage of production from Jaylen Brown. I'm sure Marcus Smart did his thing, and it was actually redemption because I believe it was game 2 where the Celtics were about to go up 2-0. Smart was going to the basket. I think he had Connington or Grayson Allen guarding him, but Holiday came through, got that block, and ultimately we won Milwaukee the game. And it was like, wow, I think that wound up swinging quite a ways into Milwaukee's favor. But then you have Boston come through, get the split out in Milwaukee. And again, just all the pendulum swings, you just wonder who does that favor. And I didn't really know how to answer that. But if nothing else, it's going to be really interesting to see this matchup with Miami and Boston. I don't know who I'm going to pick to win. Again, I'm going to come through with a video on that tomorrow or Tuesday. But the only other thing I'll say about this is, for one thing, obviously, congratulations to the Boston Celtics. Hell of a performance, and this is actually going to be fun to watch between them and the Miami Heat. And with that being said, that brings me now to the Western Conference semifinal matchup between the Dallas Mavericks and the Phoenix Suns. Again, similar traits as Milwaukee and Boston, pendulum swings. Especially, the only difference is that it came in twos. It was the first two obviously were in favor of Phoenix being at home, and then of course you go to Dallas. Dallas holds down their fort, and Phoenix holds down home court in Game 5, and convincingly at that. And it's at that point I'm thinking, okay, they're going to come through Game 6 and actually get the job done. Ooh, man, was that ever far from the case. And it's like, okay, they're at home. And I actually had one of my bosses say something about how, they wanted the Game 7 pretty much for more money and everything, and that's actually a tough argument to go against. I can't say that isn't true at all. But was it really worth it? I can't say that after this outcome, and with as bad as it got, that's a resounding no there. So, at this juncture, it's really, really wild. Where do the Suns go from here? I mean, it's one thing to lose in a situation like that. I mean, there are plenty of scenarios, where you've had a team on the road go into a Game 7 and absolutely take the air out of the building. I don't think you've seen it quite to the extent as what we got to the night. I mean, if you would have told me that it was going to be as much as 40, I want to say it got to even being 50 points, I definitely would have suggested that you go get tested for something, and probably might have even wanted to know where you got that stuff. But no, we're not going to do that. No. In all seriousness, though, I just can't believe that after everything they went through well, I believe it was July because everything was pushed back a month, especially recovering from the pandemic and all the stuff that led to the bubble and so forth. But it just blows my mind. Again, the fact that historically speaking, the two finalists from the previous year knocked out on the same day in game sevens. I can't say enough about how wild that is. But to have one of them lose as badly as Phoenix did. And I'll just give you an idea of what it's like. I'm out here in Arizona right now. I'm not in Phoenix, I'm out in Tempe. I took a walk outside right after the game, and to be perfectly honest, it's just you can feel the somber all the way from downtown. I'm not joking when I say that. All of the somber. I mean, it just. The atmosphere feels so dead. And I'm not too surprised at that. Why wouldn't that be the case? I mean, with such an epic push that these guys made this season, and to have it collapse like that, I can't even imagine. And here, I'll even take it here on this one, and I'm gonna speak to you specifically, Suns fans, and it's really, really odd because I actually understand your pain, believe it or not. I really do. And it's just real wild because it was like yesterday where I remember watching Super Bowl 48, and of course, anyone that's watched this channel, they know diehard Broncos fan, and that's never going to change. Don't let the black that I'm wearing fool you. No, we're not even going to go there. That's also stuff for another video, but it just is real wild because I mentioned that specifically because I understand, what it's like to have so much of your hopes dashed in almost seemingly an instant. It's just wild. I mean, it just got real bad in the first quarter. I mean, Luka putting in 12 in the first, 27 for the half, and matching Phoenix's 27 for the half. Not any one player, the whole team. I mean, I don't know if it's as bad as a first snap botched into the end zone bad and then everything just goes straight to hell from there. I can't really say that it's quite like that, but believe me, Suns fans, I understand the pain. I really do. And really, it's just going to be kind of crazy because, in another video, I want to talk about how, with the things that you guys did with the Cardinals, y'all might be keeping that home winning streak alive in the Super Bowl, provided you don't run into us. But, again, for another time in video. Getting back to the subject at hand, however, in all honesty, again, a question begins now, where do the Suns go from here? And really, I see one of two things being the case. And before I go into that, I do want to point out, and it was something that I promised my mother, and she wanted me to talk about the fact that last year when they lost to the Bucks in the finals, quite frankly, she put all the blame on Chris Paul, which at that time I was like, yeah, okay, I guess. But they just wound up having a bad matchup. And in all honesty, like I said, Giannis is just that dude. I mean, we'll just put it in perspective. Last year, they ended up having Giannis go down to what was, it's funny that he's a Greek freak, but he went down with a freakish accident. I still don't believe that he came back as quickly as he did, but he did, and it paid off. It paid off, and that's what blows my mind about them getting eliminated too. But I only say all of that because for me, it was just something that the Suns needed, because usually with things like that, you should only get stronger. And the other aspect of it is just looking back on the other teams, the other Phoenix Suns teams that have seen any sort of relative success over the years, going back to 93 when Barkley led them against the Bulls only to fall 4-2 in the series. And then going fast forward, I would say, 14 years later, and you have the Suns in the conference finals, and some shenanigans keep that from being a magical run for Phoenix. And then, of course, that's giving San Antonio the opening to win yet another championship. I mean, the thing about that is that the trend for the Suns is it doesn't really get too much better from here. And here's another problem with that. Actually, I'm going to tell you three of them. And none of them include Dallas, none of them include Golden State, because those two aren't going anywhere. We're going to be dealing with them pretty much for years to come. I mean, this is what you're seeing is a lot of what you're going to get and so forth. But to me, if you talk about parting ways with a CP3, you're ultimately on the verge of yet another rebuild within a few years. There's no way that you can convince me, if that were to be the case to where the Suns parted ways with Chris Paul, that you would be able to keep everything intact. I mean, because who are you going to bring in for one? But more than that, what is it that James Jones does to actually, keep things on the up and up so that the Suns can continue to be successful? Because again, there are going to be three problems that you're dealing with here, not just Golden State and Dallas, but you've also got the New Orleans Pelicans, who the Suns played in the first round. And in a lot of ways, I feel like the Suns played with their food. But in all fairness, when you really get to breaking down what the Pelicans proved that they were capable of in that series, you're looking at what's going to be arguably the most dangerous team going into 2022-2023. And that's without Zion. I mean, so much that could be said about that. Again, another video, another time. From there, you also have the Memphis Grizzlies, who showed how dangerous they could be against the Warriors. Although, I gotta think that Game 5 was actually an outlier of sorts, just given the fact that the Warriors performed the way that they did in that game. And it's just odd seeing the night and day, because they were able to win their series, but you got a team who's similar in a lot of ways in Phoenix, and yet complete contrast. Absolute contrast, but that's really neither here nor there. I think the only other thing I said to that, and third team, Minnesota Timberwolves. They're only going to get better from here. Karl Anthony Towns, D'Angelo Russell. I'm trying to think. Why am I... See, brain lock has been hitting me real bad lately. Ah, man. The kid from Georgia, Anthony something. I'll have to remember it for the next video and I'll just go over that omission. But, yeah, they're going to be nothing to sneeze at next season. And that's going to make it even more problematic for Phoenix. How are they going to keep up? Because it's not going to get any easier. And especially because the East is getting better. Um, there's just a lot that you've got to anticipate with this, and not all of it means very good things for the Suns. The flip side to it, they keep CP3 around, of course, and he's going to take on a much lesser role. I mean, at the point that he's at in his career, you're not going to win a championship with him as a major factor of the team. He can still be that elder leader and everything, but this is going to be on Booker and Ayton to get it done. It's going to be on the Suns to re-sign Ayton because those have got to be your cornerstones, along with Mikal Bridges, who, for me, I think has got to make that ascent. I mean, to me, he was the key as far as what was going to bring Phoenix over the top, because I see a lot of the same things I see with him as I do when Pippen made his ascent. And you saw a lot of the same things with the Kawhi Leonard. I mean, I don't know necessarily that Bridges will be on that particular level, but it's what he's capable of is the thing. So we'll see down the road whether or not that's what we get from the Suns. It's going to be really interesting to witness how the offseason unfolds. I mean, if it's anything like what the NFL is, whoo boy, we're in for a hell of a summer. But I'm going to leave it at that. I wound up hitting 22 minutes, which I hate doing that the way that I do. But first go around back, and, it is what it is. I'm just going to let that be what it may, and we'll start winding it all down to normal in future videos. Again, expect predictions on the conference finals here tomorrow or Tuesday. It's actually 10:22 now. It actually was about 10 or a little before 10 when I started. I was actually starting earlier than that, but then I got a call from my mom, which she reminded me to get that comment about that in there and everything about CP3, but neither here nor there. Anyway, I'm not going to ramble any further about that. We'll just see where things go from here, but let me know what you guys think. Drop it down below. Hit that thumbs up. I can't reiterate that enough. I know a lot of people like hitting the like on Facebook or Twitter or whatever. I need that here on YouTube really, really badly. I can't stress that enough. We're going to go over that a lot. I'm going to just make sure that we make it happen, but it is what it is. That being said, I thank you for being here. Thanks for having me. We're going to keep it rolling.